this morning. Today is Monday, February 2nd, 2026, people. Let's wake up, let's get up, let's get at it. As always, when you check in, let me know where you're checking in from, what time of day it is, where you are. I'm Oloropo Bird, coming to you, BND Finance Fixers. Let's have a great day, people. Let's start this off the right way. Thank you for being here. Today, we're going to talk about showing up for yourself. Are you showing up for you? I'm going to give a few moments for everyone to get in here. I want to make sure that we know that showing up for you should not be an option. Showing up for you should not be the occasional endeavor. Showing up for you needs to be paramount. Channel is now monetized, as we said before. Thank you so much for helping us to get here. Thank you also for being a part of the process. This particular live stream will not have commercials, so I appreciate any contributions, donation towards the continued growth of the channel as we continue to move towards providing a higher and higher degree of quality and access to what we do here at BND Finance Fixers. And so for everyone who's here this morning, as always, make sure you check in. Let me know where you're checking in from. Let me know what time of day it is, where you are. It is going to be a good day and a good time. I do know this. If you want to make the most of anything in your life, you have to start showing up for you. So I'm going to tell you a little story, and a lot of this particular story is from when I was working as a food service manager. I was working at I believe it was a Burger King at the time. And when I took this job as a manager at this Burger King, I was like, yo, this is my opportunity to come up. I'm going to show my management skills. I'm going to show how I can be, have value and benefit in every area of work that I do in the store. Now, I was the newest person to become a manager in the store. There were a lot of other people had been there much longer than me. There were already managers who were there working for the company. There was already work being done in different spaces. So I show up, I'm this new manager for the company. And when I got assigned to the store that I was in, there were about 3 managers above me. And it was important for me to make sure, because I'm one of these people who believe the fastest way for me to grow is to help others grow, right? The best way for me to make my mark, to show my value, to benefit the company is for me to make sure everybody else is growing. Everybody else is getting the support from me necessary for them to become more, right? For them to get better. And so the way it started is I come in, I start working, I start doing my part, I start supporting the other managers in areas where I believe they could use support. So I start helping with counting the registers, closing, managing their shifts by providing support for employees and letting them know specific ways that things needed to be done, by assisting with training. I use my own training background to kind of, my experience in training to kind of help the team grow in that space. And so it was really big. What's going on? Good morning. How are you doing? It was really big for me to show up for the rest of uh, the rest of the to show up for myself because I was showing up for the rest of the team, right? And so the challenge that I had is that I'm this new manager and I'm trying so hard to prove my value and my worth that I keep showing up for others. I keep showing up for team members, for managers, store managers, taking care of things in a space to show that I have value to them, that on my own shifts and the things that I was responsible for, the things that I needed to take care of for me, not only in the business, but in my personal life, fell short. My attention to my wife, my attention to my children, my attention to the details of my growth and development missed the point, missed the mark. And they all missed the mark because I was so focused on making sure I was a part of helping others and showing up for others that I failed to do so for myself. This is important, people. It's important to understand that it's good to want to be of value to others, but until you are of value to yourself, you will have a diminished value to everyone else. And the reason for that diminished value is because until you value yourself enough to put the work into you to make you who you need to be, everything that you give to someone else feels like it is being drawn, like it's being taken away from you. See, when you focus on yourself first and you make sure you're taken care of and you make sure you have what you need to care for others, then you're a support. If you don't have what you need to take care of you, every time you give some of yourself to others, you are being drained. You can feel the drain. There has to be a change. You have to show up for yourself. And showing up for yourself has a very simple look, people. It's a very simple look. It's you looking out for you. Don't look at showing up for yourself as you saying no to others, but as you saying yes to yourself, right? People can ask you for things. They'll look for support. They'll ask you for different ways to be of value to them, to give them a piece of who you are and to be there for them. But what's important is to understand that for you, you have to ask yourself and provide yourself with the same thing. You have to do what's necessary in order to get to where you're going. So in order for you to show up for someone else, you definitely have to learn to show up for you. Thank you everyone for being here this morning. Again, my name is Olorobo Bird. This is B&B Finance Fixers. We are always on the positive, life-affirming message of growth, discipline, and destiny. And today is the 2nd of February. It's Monday. I am up here in the northeast of the United States. It is now 5:45 in the morning, people. Let's get up. Let's get at it. If you haven't gotten up and you haven't gotten started, now is the time to do so. Wherever you're checking in from, whatever time of day it is where you are, let me know where you're checking in from, what time it is, what you've been up to, and what do you have planned for today. Maybe your day is coming to an end. Maybe you've already finished your day and you're just taking this opportunity to get some things at the end of the day. Still would love to hear where you are. What are you up to? How are you doing this morning? Hey, thank you very much, guys. We are in the middle of a big drive right now. Give me a moment. We're in the middle of a big drive right now. We're making a big push. This year, we have big goals here at B&B Finance Fixers. We're growing our financial education arm, and our financial education arm requires for us to grow our personal development education arm as well. We do not separate the two because For most people, it's the simplest things that has to do with finances. You want to understand the market. You want to understand cryptocurrency. You want to understand investments. You want to understand legacy. You want to understand moving into the future. Understanding of things is beautiful. Visual of things is beautiful. Awareness of things is phenomenal. However, just because you can see it, just because you know it, just because you understand it, doesn't mean that it has value to you. It will not have value to you until you are prepared to implement it. And implementing it requires that you make changes, right, to your behaviors, to your discipline, to your dedication towards moving towards a goal. Many of us don't have the ability to even imagine a goal, to envision a goal. So how could you possibly achieve it? We're going to change that. And we're doing it this year. Big things coming from BNV Finance Fixers, not only in development of individuals, but in development of finances, development of futures, development of families. These are things that if we follow these simple principles of discipline, and I talk about it all the time, people, it is called discipline. It is repetition. You follow repetition with patience. Patience, when you do that, you develop a skill. Now you can use consistency. And consistency, you have to have a grade. You cannot be consistent at something that you haven't developed a skill to learn how to do. And then once we become consistent, we must persevere. I will be sharing out this year the wonders of being aware and how discipline changed the world, people. The world didn't change by chance. The world didn't change because, oh, well, someone decided they wanted to do something one day. There were a lot of decisions made. But until you pursue your objective with discipline, you're just not going to make things happen. You're not going to get to where you want to be. You're not going to achieve your goals. And that's going to be on you. So this morning, we're going to start it off by talking about showing up for yourself. Do you show up for you? Make sure you answer the poll question, guys. The poll question asks very specifically, who do you show up for most? Are you showing up for your family, your friends? Are you showing up for your job? Or are you showing up for others? Keep in mind, I didn't put in there anywhere, are you showing up for yourself most? And the reason I didn't put it in there is because for most of us, we don't look up as showing up for ourselves as a thing. We look at showing up for ourselves as being selfish. But you have to understand, if you can't get it right, then the people who you're giving to won't get it right either. A lot of us say, oh, well, my reward is helping others. Listen, look, no, I'm sorry. Fine. Your reward is helping others. I will let you have that. I will let you have that your reward is helping others. I will let you have that that is your position. But even if your reward is helping others, there has to become a point in this process when you say your reward is helping others, that you have to actually be able to quantify and count your reward coming back to you. If you can't quantify it, if you can't give it a value, if it doesn't have any way for you to be able to say, hey, here is how this is rewarding me in my life, then we're just talking, right? As always, guys, thank you all for being here this morning. If you haven't done so yet, please double tap the screen, drop a like. I'd love to be able to hear from you. Love to be able to have your support. And we want to continue this conversation about this morning about showing up for yourself. Big things coming from us this year. Major goals, major objectives. We have a target this year. Of course, you guys know, for those of you who are on the financial side of the program, you know we're continuing to follow through with our weekly $50 investment program that we're doing. We're following this on E-Trade. For those of you who are a part of that process, we are now going into week 4. And we're going into week 5. We are already at $205 in value in the investment portfolio. we'll continue to grow that. I also have a second one that I'm doing for those of you who are interested in being part of our $10,000 investment program. As members, you'll have an opportunity to take a look at the $10,000 investment that we're going to do this year and see how that is used. The different levels of being able to use margins, being able to invest at a higher level, and being able to purchase in a different way. And also, members of the channel get to join me in my journey on my SIE exam prep as I move towards getting the remainder of the certifications necessary for me to become a financial advisor. But today we're talking about taking care of you first. So thank you for being here. Again, when you check in, let me know where you're checking in from, what time of day it is where you are, what it is you're working on, and what it is that you would like to get done. What are you working on this year? What are you doing this year? What are you doing right now where you are working on moving forward in your life? What's that thing you're focused on this year? Now is the time for you to be able to talk about it, share, and let's see if we can help you get there. Once again, guys, good morning. Welcome to the walk. Welcome to the talk. Excuse me. We do usually do this outside on a walk and talk. It is chilly out, people. It is awful chilly out. So I am not out there in this cold weather at the moment. I know for a lot of people, the cold don't matter. I am not one of those people. I am still working on a personal challenge when it comes to enduring the elements, enduring the cold, enduring the weather fluctuations, or however you would like to refer to it, just as a personal interest in becoming more engaged in my own development by presenting myself with these challenges. So again, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being a part of the walk and talk, or part of the talk this morning. I'm going to pull up some of my information that I have here for this morning. Again, thank you for being here, guys. Let me know what you're doing today. How's it going? Welcome in. So, I'm going to talk about why showing up for yourself is so important. The first reason that showing up for yourself is so important, guys, is that because one of the things we have to make sure we do in life is understand who we are, what it is we're looking to achieve, what it is about where we're going and what we're doing that's important for us, right? And some of these things will include, they're not limited to, but some of them will include just simply being able to identify about ourselves what we want to see for ourselves. So here's the first thing. First thing that showing up for yourself does is it builds trust, right? So it builds trust in yourself, trust in your ability to be able to be there for you, trust in your ability be to be able to count on yourself to do the things that are necessary to achieve your goals. It's important because everything in every relationship is built on trust. And the ability to trust yourself, to care for yourself, is where it starts. To trust yourself to protect you, to defend you, to support you, to edify you. That's the beginning of taking care of yourself and showing up, right? And so when we think about the things that we want to achieve with ourselves or with anyone else, is going to start with trusting ourselves. So every time you do the thing that you said you were going to do for you, you're showing yourself not only that you're capable of doing that thing, but you're committed to doing that thing. And you have to understand, these are the same qualities and attributes and behaviors you're going to show to others. These are the things that you're going to take to others. But here's the thing. It's really easy, right? And we'll talk about this a little bit more later. It's really easy to show up for others, because if they don't provide us with the expected value or return for showing up for them, then we can put that blame on them. Oh, you don't really care about what I'm sharing with you. Like, it's not important to you. It doesn't have value to you, which is why showing up for yourself is important, because it's really easy to blame somebody else for not caring about what you're doing for them. But when we're showing up for ourselves, or we're asking ourselves to show up for ourselves, and we don't, now we're blaming ourselves. Now we have to hold ourselves accountable. And many of us never truly develop the confidence that we're looking for in life, because we haven't held ourselves accountable enough to prove we're capable enough to face any challenge and continue to move forward. And so it's a lot easier to show up for everyone else, to show up for anyone else, and then say you don't appreciate how I'm showing up for you, than it is to hold ourselves accountable for the things we said we were going to do, the way we're supposed to show up for ourselves. And this is what discipline is all about. Is it starts with being aware, having accountability for yourself, and being intentional with your actions. Because if we're not doing these things, if we're not prepared to take on this responsibility of doing it, then we can't show up for ourselves, and we'll constantly be blaming others for the way they don't show up for us in regards to our own development and expectations for ourselves. If we don't learn to show up for ourselves and put ourselves first, we'll get into a situation where every decision that we make, we'll second guess. We'll start to expect others to be the catalyst for it, for other people to be the reason for it. And then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that when we don't show up for ourselves, we try to make up for it by showing up for others, and then blaming their inability to value us showing up as as us giving the effort, but others not appreciating it. Do you show up for yourself? Can you show up for yourself? Showing up for you requires for you to show up for you. That's going to be step one, people. If we're not showing up for ourselves, if you're not prepared to be accountable and hold yourself accountable, then the expectations of performance for you will be nerfed, they'll be dwarfed, and you won't care about whether or not you won't care. You simply start to care about your own development, and then it just becomes a blame game. 100% blame game on everyone else. So I have a few points in here to share. Again, thank you guys for being here. Please take a moment, do the poll, guys. As you check in, let me know where you're checking in from. Let me know what time of day it is where you are. It is now 6 a.m. here on the East Coast of the United States. I want to thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being a part of this walk and talk. I want to thank you for sharing the time. I also want to let you know that this is about showing up for yourself. This is not one of these situations. I'm going to be real honest, because this is a journey that I'm on personally. If you cannot hold yourself accountable, and that's the difficult thing about a lot of people showing up for themselves, is in order for you to show up for you, you have to have an expectation of what that is. Like, it's really easy to say to other people, hey, you didn't get here on time. Hey, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. Hey, I asked you to do this thing and you didn't get it done. It's really easy to hold other people accountable for that. But then we have to turn around and hold ourselves accountable for that same standard. It becomes a lot more difficult, because you can't lie to yourself. Why didn't you get that done? Oh, I was really tired. Well, you're really tired. You were really tired when you did that other thing too. You were really tired, but you stayed on your game for another hour and a half. You were supposed to be doing this. Yeah, well, listen, you have to be honest. You have to set a standard, you have to set an expectation, and you have to hold yourself accountable to it. And so the reason a lot of us don't show up for ourselves, and we don't look out for ourselves, and we don't look at ourselves, is because it's a lot easier to look at others and say, I'm giving my effort, I'm giving my time, and I'm giving my energy to you, and you're not showing up. Well, what about giving yourself your effort? Give yourself your time, give yourself your energy, and then hold yourself accountable for showing up. When I was working as a personal trainer, and I've shared this story a few times before. I'm in the gym and I finished a training session. It was a group training session. I'm standing around, I'm talking to the clients, and they're explaining. Many of them were interested in being personal training, and I'm walking them through the process of, here are the things you do, here's how you get your certification, here are the behaviors, here's the expectation, here's how you support people, and everybody's listening. They're like, okay, we understand. And they're like, well, where do you make your money? I'm like, well, you really don't make your money through the personal training aspect, because like the only way to make money personal training is to train. And so you have to develop programs, you have to have consistency. And then the biggest thing is, for most personal trainers, it is selling a product or a supplement or something. So we're selling something. And so I explain the different ways to make the deals, to get the products to sell, to be able to have it available. And one of the clients just looked at me, one of the young ladies from the class was like, then why aren't you doing it? I was like, okay, listen, you don't you tell me how I'm not doing the thing I'm telling you you could do if you were doing the thing that I'm doing. I don't need you to. So I was like, at that moment, I was like, this is you just saying stuff. Where's your actions? Where are your behaviors? Where's the you showing up for you that you said you were going to do? Where is it? And so I came to the realization that it was going to take me showing up for me, that I was going to need to do this thing. I was going to need to become this person who I kept saying other people couldn't be. It was required for me to become the person necessary to provide and support for myself all of those things that I said I wanted to provide and support for others. And because this is who I needed to be, this is who I wanted to be, this is the direction I needed to be going, that I made that change. I took those steps. I moved into that space, and I understood that my work, my dedication, my time, my investment in me was going to be necessary to see any of the things that I wanted to see become true, become evident, and become facts in my life. And this is where we are today. This is where I am today. This is what I'm sharing with you today. There is an accountability aspect that you have to be prepared to share, that you have to be prepared to perform in order for you to understand your value and what's going on in your life. Guys, thank you for being here. As always, get the chance, please let me know where you're checking in from, what time of day it is, where you are, as we continue to discuss the day, what it means to show up for yourself, and how showing up for yourself helps you to show up for others. One of the things that's important, guys, in this process is knowing that when we get to this point, when showing up for ourselves becomes the standard versus the expectation, excuse me, it starts to become our identity, right? And I had someone ask me before, is it more important who you are or who people view you as? And it has to be who you are, right? Because not everybody's going to see what you see, how you see it. Meaning that you could do everything you can to support someone, and they may not see it as support. I remember, and this is interesting. I don't know how many of you remember the Disney movie called The Incredibles. And so in one of the scenes on The Incredibles is really funny. It's like, I think it's like the opening scene, and they're racing to get married, and the dude, there's somebody trying to kill themselves, and like he jumps and he goes through the window with the person and, like, you know, saves them, and then runs off to go continue to fight crime. And so later on, later on, his he's in court, and this person is suing him for the injuries that occurred while he saved his life. And he's like, well, you know, my client has like a fractured spleen and something else silly. And the thing is, guys, and this is why showing up for you has to be paramount, is because we believe that everybody is going to see our good deeds as good deeds. Just because they're just because you have good intentions doesn't mean that it's going to result in everyone seeing you as being a good person. I remember this video on YouTube where Shaquille O'Neal saw this homeless woman, and he was like, I'm gonna get you a meal. And she was like, thank you. And then they go into this restaurant, and, you know, he takes her to a table and sit down, and the cameras follow, and he goes in and he tells the woman, you know, like, I'm gonna give her whatever she wants, whatever she orders, whatever she wants to have. But of course, having other things to do, he's with her for a few moments, and then he gets up and leaves, but the cameras stay. And this woman wanted a meal, but she didn't want the attention. She didn't want the notoriety. She didn't want to be seen as a project, as somebody's, oh, this is my good deed as a rich person. And so she hadn't received her food yet, but these people and these cameras are all standing around watching her. And so she got up and left. Because our intentions are good, because our objective is noble, because we believe we're doing the right thing, doesn't mean that the person who we're doing it for sees it the same way. This is why we have to show up for ourselves, because once we start to show up for ourselves and we understand our own difficulties and challenges with setting expectations and holding the standard, and understanding the challenges that we have of just seeing ourselves want good for ourselves, just going through that puts us into a position where we can all of a sudden start to notice this about others. We can develop that empathy of the effort that is required in order for you to show up for yourself and then show up for someone else. You have to be able to understand that looking out for you and strengthening you, developing you, is going to still require a standard and a expectation of work for you to put in order for you to achieve it. You do not get here by thinking about it. You don't get disciplined by thinking about discipline. You don't get strong by thinking about about lifting weights. You don't get educated and knowledgeable, and you don't get consistent. You don't develop skill by just thinking about the skill. You have to start to implement it. And this is the critical step in all of these things, is that we have to eventually start doing these things, guys. We have to eventually understand that we're trying to achieve something, and in order to do it, we need to do these things. Are you prepared to do those things? And I mean do those things in your life. I'm talking about show up in your life. Just, hey, this is what time I'm supposed to be up. Can I just get up? No, every day's not going to be perfect. I'm not going to hit the mark all the time, but I need to start getting up. I need to start getting to work. I need to start performing. I need to start becoming who I said I'm going to be for me. This is step one. And when you learn to hold yourself accountable and understand that, hey, the worst thing that can happen is I can be great. The worst thing that can happen with me holding myself accountable is I prove myself right. I can be great. That's the worst thing that can happen. Having challenges, difficulties, that's a part of the process. You know, achieving goals is a part of the process. The worst thing that can happen by you setting a standard and meeting it and holding yourself accountable for it is you can be great. That's the bottom of the barrel of holding yourself accountable. The other levels of holding yourself accountable is you can be great for others and help others become great. Just you being great. There are a lot of people who have discipline and self-accountability, and they can be great, but that's as far as they go. But when you start turning that, once you learn that this investment that you make in yourselves, you can make into others, then you start making others great as well. That's what developing discipline is. That's what accountability is. That's what showing up for you is about. And for a lot of us, that's a challenge. And so instead of looking at ourselves, we look at our job, we look at our coworkers, we look at our family, we look at our friends, and we look at all the things that we do for all the people, and all the stuff I did for my children, all the stuff I did for my cousins, all the stuff I did for my brother, for my dad, for my mom, for my uncle, all this stuff we did for everyone else. And it makes us feel good because we can always say, well, I did all of this for them, and it's not my fault that this didn't work out. It's not my fault that that didn't work out. Like, I should have been doing that for myself. If I spent, the only reason I ain't made it nowhere is because I spent so much time trying to help all of y'all. Well, then stop. Help you. Help. What's the song? Help me help you. Help you help you. Do you. Look out for you. Make an expectation for you that doesn't have to do with doing something for someone else. It has to do with doing for you. And then hold yourself accountable and meet those expectations. Man. I remember during COVID, I saw this post that was going around. And at this time, surprisingly, in these many years ago during COVID, a lot of social media was driven primarily by Facebook. Still kind of is when you break it down. But the interesting thing that happened is that there was this post during COVID where a parent had written on the window of their vehicle, you're a liar. My child is not a joy to teach, because now the parents are at home trying to teach their children, and the parents like, this is, no, you lied. My child is not a joy to teach. And the thing is, what that showed me at that time was, we believe that the work that we do into others is going to always come back to us in these in like this glorious return and respect for what has been done. And we don't look at what's happening on the other side. We don't look at the investment that's being made on the other side. And so we send our children to school, and the teacher's like, your child is a joy to teach. And then that child comes home, and you are like, this is not a child that I enjoy teaching. One, do we respect the work that the teacher's doing? Two, do we understand the relationships between parents and children versus parents and others? Your children are more fearful of strangers than they are of you. So it's easier for a stranger to set an expectation for a child than it is of you, because you spent the last 3 years telling this little being that they are the most important thing in the world and that you love them. And they're like, well, you aren't going to hurt me but so much. But a stranger is the unknown. And so it's easier for that stranger to set the standard. So you know yourself. You grew up with yourself your whole life. You know, like, you're going to do what makes you happy, the thing that, and if it doesn't make you happy, you're going to rationalize it in your brain so that it doesn't make you upset. You need to be a stranger to you. You need to have a part of you that has only the interest of your growth, your standard, and your accountability. Never try to show up for people who don't depend on you, friends or family members. Mostly children or pets are dependent on you. Rest are mostly hopeless. I don't know, that's outside of yourself. I don't know if that's, no, I don't think that's the point. I don't think that's rule number one. Rule number one is show up for yourself, right? You depend on you. Before your pets depend on you, before your friends and your family depend on you, you depend on you. So you have to show up for yourself. If you're not prepared to show up for yourself, if you're not prepared to set that standard of accountability, and this is what I was saying earlier in the show, you can't keep having this expectation that people are going to show up for you in a certain way and be there for you in a certain way if you can't be there for yourself. And it's really easy, and this is what I'm trying to say. This is a comment someone has made. Looks like the name is Wisdom is Mine. So, excuse me, the comment they left is rule number one: never try to show up for people who don't depend on you. Friends or family member, mostly children's or pets, are dependent on you. Rest are mostly hopeless. You are dependent on you. It starts with you, Wisdom, right? We can't deepen us before we find God in ourselves. You have to find accountability in yourself, right? Here's the thing, and I'm going to be really clear about this. I am a born-again Christian child of God. Grew up in the church, have been in the church my entire life. Mom's a pastor, dad's a pastor, stepdad was a deacon. Trust me, like, I've been through this, like, I understand, and I'm committed to the faith of it and the requirements in that space. What I'm saying to you right now, though, is the biggest gap that people have is self-accountability. It's easier for us to point the finger. For example, don't show up for people who don't depend on you. You depend on you. You depend on the work that you do to help yourself grow, the development that you need to come from within you. You depend on you. So you have to show up for you. And this is what I'm trying to say is, when we show up for ourselves, bottom line is when we develop discipline and learn how to show up for ourselves, set expectations, and hold ourselves accountable, the worst thing that can happen in our life is we become great. That is the worst thing that happens when you learn to be self-aware, set expectations, and hold yourself accountable. The worst thing that happens to you is you become great in your life. The ceiling is making the rest of the things in the world and the people around you great. But it starts with you just becoming a great version of you, right? So before you can help anyone, exactly, we need to make sure we're working on ourselves. That's the discussion right now is, are you doing the work on yourself? Do you have self-accountability? This is what showing up for yourself is. This is what's saying, okay, well, I have this expectation, I have this standard, I have this thing I need to do. It requires discipline. Excuses are easy. There are always reasons to not do something. So the only reason to do something is because you set the expectation and you hold yourselves accountable. That's the reason to do something. There's always a reason not to do something. I don't feel like it. Bottom line, right? My oldest son, 16, he went through this phase of, I don't want to do it. That's the bottom line reason to not do anything. I don't want to. So you always have a reason to not do something. Where's the reason to do something? The only reason to do something is because you set it as an expectation and then you hold yourself accountable to do it. To know who I am, I need to know who you shouldn't be. That takes a lot of bitter experience. It can't happen easily. Only by experience you know who I am. I'm not by books or advice or meditation. You know who you are by living, yes. But you have to have an understanding of achieving something. It's about the work that you're looking to achieve. The simplest things about showing up for yourself is you have to hold yourself in enough regard. So when you want to show up, right? So when you want to show up for someone else, what's the first thing you do? This is a question for everyone. In order for you to show up for someone else, what's the first thing you do? You ask them, how can I help? What can I do? What do you need? How can I support you? The first thing you do in order to show up for someone else is you try to find out where and how you can show up. That's the same thing for yourself. The first thing that you do in order for you to be able to help yourself is you have to ask yourself, where and how do I need to show up for me? What is it that I'm doing? Where is it that I'm going that requires this effort? I'm going to showing up for yourself. Here at BNV Finance Fixers, we talk about a lot of things. Finances is simply gathering the resources necessary in order to achieve an objective. You must be able to finance your life. You have to find the resources and the support and the space necessary in order for you to invest appropriately in your own development. Showing up for anyone else requires showing up for yourself first. And in order for you to show up for someone else, you either must assume what they need or you must find out what they need. And that showing up for you requires for you to be self-aware, set expectations, and hold yourself accountable. This is how we grow. This is how we become complete. Bottom line, if you develop discipline and you are self-aware, you set expectations and you hold yourself accountable, the bottom line of what you're going to be is great. That's where you achieve and how you achieve greatness. It's important to understand this because if we are not working on developing an understanding and a trust in ourselves and our own development, we will continue to use the excuse of supporting others as the reason why we can't get to where it is we want to be. You have to show up for you. You have to show up for you in a way that you love yourself. For those people who you say, oh, well, I love you so much, I'm willing to do whatever. Oh my goodness, I'll sacrifice myself to make sure that you're taken care of. Do that for yourself. You want to sacrifice sleep to make sure your job is successful? Oh, I only sleep 4 hours a night because my company needs me. Okay, do that for you. Show up for you in that regard. Show up for you that way. I put out a little short a little while ago. I simply stated, stop killing yourself for something that does not motivate you to live. Stop dying for things that you won't live for. We have to stop sacrificing ourselves, our life, our direction, and our objectives, and our entire lives for things that we're not prepared or do not give us the energy to live for. Right? If it doesn't motivate us to live, it doesn't motivate us to grow, it doesn't motivate us to be strong and to want more, and to appreciate the experience of living and being alive, stop giving your life for it. You're prepared to die for something that doesn't give you the same energy to live? What are you prepared to live for? What are you prepared to give your energy to say, I'm going to live in this way, I'm going to grow in this way? That is going to be the question, people. That is the thing that we're trying to find out. How do we stop betraying ourselves? How do we stop letting ourselves down? How do we stop saying we're going to do something, seeing the outcome of doing that thing, and failing to meet the expectations or hold ourselves accountable to get there? And then we look at it and we look back at it and we're like, oh man. And it's really hard to say, hey, I didn't get here because I set these expectations and here's what I did instead of reaching those expectations. It's a lot easier to say, I set this expectation and here are the things the rest of the world did that got in the way of me achieving that expectation. Oh, it's you. It's you. You're there every morning when you wake up. You're there every night when you go to sleep. You're standing there looking yourself in the mirror and you have to say to yourself, I need to get up and I need to get started. You haven't failed. It is February. It's February the 2nd. You haven't failed. You just found yourself in a space right now where you understand the reality of the situation is it's hard to get up every morning. That's not going to change. Right? So you cannot expect somebody to invest in you in a way you're not prepared to invest in yourself. Don't expect people to do more for you than you're prepared to do for yourself. You need to hold you accountable. You need to be there for you. You need to understand that the development of you requires your investment in you. Happy Black History Month to you as well. We need to understand that the development and growth in ourselves is going to require for us to be committed to that growth. Okay, it's hard. Yeah. It's hard because we're not doing it. It's not hard once you start doing it. There used to be a point in my life where I only woke up if I had to go to work. That was it. The rest of my time, I just slept. I just slept and wasted it. If I didn't have to go to work, the days I had to go to work, I got up in time to go to work. The days I didn't have to work, I slept until it was time for me to come home from work. There was no life for me that didn't involve exchanging my time for someone else with money, right? So what has to happen? I had to figure out that I'm worth getting up for. It starts early. We're taught this in school. We're not developing. If we are underdeveloped, undereducated, underinformed children, we grow up to be the same thing as adults. And then we have children who are left with inadequate understanding of what it means to be disciplined and to set expectations and to hold yourself accountable. That's step number one. You have to set expectations. You have to be able to hold yourself accountable, and you have to do the things necessary to achieve the expectations that you've set for yourself. You have to do the work. Thank you for being here this morning, guys. Thank you for everyone who has voted in the what's that thing called? The poll. Thank you for your contributions to the poll. Also, if you haven't done so yet, guys, go ahead, double tap the screen, hit that like button wherever it is on your screen. It's just a way of saying thank you that you've been here. Part of what we're doing on this channel is to understand we cannot separate investments into money from investments into ourselves. So if we're going to invest money into anything, businesses, stocks, cryptocurrency, whatever may show up, if we're going to invest in those things, we must also invest in ourselves. And if we're not prepared to invest in ourselves to become the best version of ourselves, then we're going to fall desperately short of the disciplined behaviors necessary to invest into stocks and bonds and cryptocurrency in the market, and understand that it's a legacy that we're building, and it's not just a flash in the pan. It's not just, hey, I did this for 6 months and now here I am. It's going to take dedication. It's going to take time, because the more you do it, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more you know. The more you know, the higher the standard becomes. And you have to continue to set your expectations to the level of the standard. And so if you start off in Little League Baseball and you're playing T-ball, you start there. The standards are lower because the knowledge and the skill is lower. But the more seasons you play, the higher the standard becomes, the more challenging it becomes. And as the standard raises, so must your expectation. But as your expectation raises and your behaviors raise to meet and stay within that expectation, your skill continues to go up as well. And being able to achieve what's necessary, being able to grow with the standard, set the expectation and hold yourself accountable doesn't change regardless of where the standard is set. Because you've already taught yourself that you are going to show up for yourself and that you are capable of achieving because you trust yourself and you can depend on yourself. And the bottom line of being able to set expectations and accountability for yourself and showing up for you is that that's greatness. The ceiling is imparting and sharing that greatness into the lives of others. That's where we start, guys. That's what this process is about. That's how we are going to start to see investment and growth in ourselves. That's how we are going to start to see and to understand that expectations that we have for ourselves must supersede the expectations of gratitude that we're expecting from others. We must expect ourselves to show up at a high level for ourselves, which allows for us to show up for others, which reduces the requirement for there to always be gratitude coming from others. Yo. Thank you all for being here this morning. Thank you for being a part. It's now 6:35 in the morning here on the East Coast of the United States. Thank you all for being here. If you haven't done so yet, please go ahead, double tap the screen for that like, hit that like button. Make sure, guys, as a part of what we're doing, we're making this mindset, we're making this lifestyle a part of who we are. Visit the store. The link is in the bio. You can visit the store. You can see the apparel, the merchandise that we have, so we can wear our mindset. RPCP is repetition, patience, consistency, and perseverance. These are the 4 pillars of discipline. You have to start with repetition. Repetition is the mother of learning. You must start by doing something, and that's just doing it. You don't have to have a goal. You don't have to be great at it. You don't have to do it. You just have to start doing it. And then you have to have patience to understand, now that you've gotten started, what you will learn and how you will grow will be beneficial. And then you have to be consistent. Now that you've started, now that you've been patient, now that you understand that there's growth taking place, you have to continue to set a standard and then rise to meet that standard. And ultimately, you have to persevere. And so in the times when there's seen like there's no growth, when the time that it seems that no one else is noticing, and the times where it seems like you're stuck and this is as far as you will go, you must continue to perform, continue to learn, continue to grow, and then you break through. This is discipline. It works in one area, it works in every other area of your life. You have to apply it to you first. Start showing up for you. This talk this morning is about you understanding that growth and development starts simply with setting expectations and holding yourself accountable for the simplest of things. Making your bed in the morning, brushing your teeth, getting dressed every day. I don't have to go to work. I'm going to get up. I'm going to go through the same routine that I do when I go to work, of preparing myself for my day, and then I'm going to get started on my day. I'm going to live. I'm going to show up for me the same way I show up for my job and my company. The poll has 32 votes right now, and by a wide margin, 53% of people say that they show up for their family. They say the area that they show up in and the area they show up for is predominantly for their family. And if we're showing up for our family, it is difficult to do so without showing up for ourselves. We have to learn how to show up for ourselves, how to meet the standard and expectation of being there for us. Showing up for ourselves is the first way that we learn how to set expectations and meet those expectations. How to hold ourselves accountable for the behaviors that do not lead us to where we need to be. Thank you guys for being here this morning. Please stop by, visit the store, learn more about what we offer, what we do here. Remember, there is a resistance mind state. We must resist comfort and look for challenge. The resistance mind state is a behavior, it is a mindset, it is a way of growing and developing. Continue to show up for yourselves, guys. It is now 6:39 in the morning. Today is February the 2nd, Monday. I know most of the country is digging out of snow or has done so. Continue to go out and be blessed, guys. Remember, as I say, always keep showing up, keep growing up, keep blowing up. Until next time, thank you for being here. Keep going, guys. God bless you.